Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is Well Read Beard. It's a damn fine day to talk about a book, and we are here for a book review. And today we're going to talk about The Devil Crept In by Ania Ahlborn. This book is awesome. I really like this book. 4 star. Liked this book. Again, top 3 novels. It's in my top 3 novels somewhere in there that I've read since getting back into all this, which again isn't very long, but I've read some good ones. This was part of my birthday book haul. I've read 5 of 8, 5 of yes, five. This is 5 of the 8 books that I got from my birthday book haul. This is my first Alborn read. It will not be my last. Probably put a lot of her books on the Christmas list for people to buy for me. But yeah, this book is pretty awesome. Let's get into a little bit of synopsis. Brutal ending. Brutal ending. Um, Ending that almost makes you rethink everything you've already been told, but then you're like, no, I mean, I've already been told all this stuff. So, but almost a Catriona Award style ending that makes you rethink everything, but it can't be right. Like it can't. No, no, because we know anyway. A little bit of synopsis, and then I'll get into a little bit about the book here. So, young Jude Brighton has gone missing, and while the search for him is in full swing, here in the small town of Deer Valley, Oregon, the locals are starting to lose hope. They're well aware that the first 48 hours are critical, and after that, the odds usually point to a worst case scenario. And despite Stevie Clark's youth, he knows that too. He knows that too. He's seen the cop shows. He knows what each ticking moment may mean for Jude, his cousin and best friend. It's just like the stories from years ago of that boy Max Larson who was found dead after also disappearing under mysterious circumstances. And then there were the animals, pets gone missing out of yards. For years, the residents of Deer Valley have either murmured about or tried very hard to not talk of these unsolved crimes, or that a killer may still possibly be lurking around their quiet town. Now, fear is reborn. And for Stevie, who is determined to find out what really happened to Jude, the awful truth may be too horrifying to imagine. So, our best friend, we are Stevie. Stevie's the main character here, Stevie Clark. Our best friend Jude has gone missing. We spent every day with this kid running around in the woods, building a fort in the woods, and he's gone missing. And it just feels like the search is kind of for show. Like no one really cares. No one really wants to find him. No one expects to find him. Maybe it feels early on that there's something darker going on here, kind of with the town's history, as opposed to just a single missing child. But Jude shows back up a couple days, 2, 3 days later, shows back up on his front porch, but he is different, very different. Um, he is not our friend anymore, not the friend that we remember from a few days ago. So that's kind of the backdrop. That's kind of the first part of it. And one thing about this book is that there are text changes. We get all the way up to like 100 pages, 100 and let's see here. Let me tell you to be exact. Yeah, 132 pages, and our text looks something like that, kind of normal reading. And then we flip to part two, and the text completely changes. I don't know if you could see that, but two different parts of the story, two different types of text. Um, Kind of dig that, but the second text was a little bit small. Anyway, um, so in part two, we learn about Rosamund Rosamund Alexander, and her life. And she lives in a house that was built for her by her doctor husband. They try to have a child, and the child is stillborn, and it just wrecks her, and she takes off on this drive and finds this what's the word? Almost like a bed and breakfast, like a retreat, like a thing, hippie dude runs the joint, whatever. She spends the night, kind of comes back refreshed, gets pregnant again, and then her husband dies in a car accident. I feel like I'm giving way too much away, so I'm gonna kind of pull back. Maybe let me think here. No, but and she goes on and gives birth and raises a child. Now this child is different. It is deformed. I don't even know if that's a socially acceptable word, but deformed is what this child is, and different. And um, I'm going to go ahead and say that the book never says vampires, but the child has a allergicness to sunlight. As a baby, tiny blisters on the face, blisters on the hands and arm. I mean, if it's in direct sunlight, and of course, while nursing it, let's just say, gets to a point where it's taking a little bit more than milk. Um, a child never really speaks, never really shows any type of love or acknowledgement, really, other than that this woman is just here to kind of, take care of it. I mean, not, and eventually, mom notices, finds the kid like in the backyard playing, and he's eating a mouse or eating a bird, or this and that. So, um, pets start to show up, dogs, cats. I mean, eventually she has a cemetery in the backyard I mean, just a catacombs in her backyard of animals buried. And in the desk drawer in the house, a collection of um, collars. And I want to jump forward, but I'm not going to jump forward. And eventually, one day, she finds her son with more than just an animal, with a child. Okay, leave it there. That it tells us right here on the back, Max Larson, who was found dead. Anyway, so this is going on in this small town, in this remote town of Deer Valley, Oregon, and you're like, man, how can that shit be going on and nobody? No, look, I live in a very, very small town here in Kentucky. Very, very little, if any, police presence. And it again, it's just different. It's different in these places. I mean, most of the time, I mean, I'm not trying to say that small town America is this danger zone, but all I'm saying is if something like this was going on, um, the outside world would not necessarily have any clue to that. And so, again, small town stories ring really, I don't know, so there's something more creepy about them. I mean, like I live, I mean, my nearest neighbor is like 2 miles that way, and there's something different about that. When it gets dark, especially in the winter, when it gets dark early, there's, I like my privacy. I like knowing that if someone knocks on my door, it's probably a damn emergency. I mean, I like my being left alone, but sometimes the remoteness is part of the horror. But anyway, so Stevie, his buddy has come back, and he's different. He's not the same. And again, it never uses the word vampire, but there is a blood aspect to the way um, this child, who grows into a not child monster, consumes things, and there's also this weird thing about once a pet comes to him, they keep coming back. Like there's almost like this vampiric hypnotism, vampiric link now between these things, these pets, these whatever. So, um, again, Jude, the child who is dogs bark, and the child who has come back keeps going back to him, and Stevie just can't understand why. And at the end of the day, there's not a lot of. I mean, Stevie's got a mother with an abusive stepfather and a brother that just doesn't really give a shit about what's going on. And then Jude just has his mother. And so no one really believes him. No one really listens to him. Stevie's got his own little issues that I won't go into. Um, some stuttering, some vocal type impairments that really keep anyone from paying attention to him, and so he's kind of on his own to try to save his cousin if it's not too far gone. Try to figure this thing out. Try to solve the problem, and it really just gets darker and darker and darker from there, if possible, based off what I've told you, if possible. And then just again, like I said, an absolute brutal ending. Now, there's a lot of stuff kind of left unsaid. What we know is that there's some sort of a monster uh, that's at a minimum part human that is consuming all the pets, all the animals around the area. So much so that like he at one point Stevie talks to like the local store owner. He's like, "There's not a pet store in this town. Nobody has pets. Nobody even bothers with them anymore because they disappear, and you'll get them. I mean, they'll come back, and then but they show no affection. And then they just constantly run off, and until eventually they just don't come back at all. I mean, anybody in this, people have a goldfish or something they keep in a cage in the house. There are no dogs in the yards or cats, running around, and so no need for a pet store. So, um, anyway, so there's this community knowledge almost, but overlooking, like just kind of overlooking, hey, something is going on, but we're just going to overlook it. So, yeah, it's just got this really dark foreboding aspect to it that way. And again, like I said, the switching back and forth between Stevie and Jude I mean, Stevie trying to find Jude initially and then trying to deal with what Jude has become secondly, and then we'll go back to Rosamund and what happened with her and this child and everything that she has to do along the way to kind of protect whatever this kid is. Now there's a piece to it that is alluded to, I mean, a couple times. I mean, we don't really get this. And at a certain point, it gives us something that I think gives this to us. But Rosamund believes that this child was not from her husband who died in a car accident. She believes, something happened to her the night at that retreat. And anyway, I won't go too deep into that, but uh, it's just small town coming of age. Uh, I mean, loneliness, the sense of I think he's 12-ish, 12-ish maybe. Maybe, yeah, something like that. But the sense of just being alone. I mean, you ever had those dreams where like something's going wrong and you go to the people you trust and they're not really there for you either. It's that weird. I ain't had one in a long time, but yeah, a sense of that aloneness, that just inability to count on anyone to help you out in this extreme situation. So there's a lot of that going on. It's a really really cool book. I really liked it. Now, again, ending that you either gonna love or hate. I mean, I'm cool with it. I I mean, I don't know that I love it. I mean, I love it because it's making me say these things. I mean, I'm cool with the ending, but damn, brutal. It's brutal. So yeah, The Devil Crept In, Ania Ahlborn. Really dug the book. 4 stars. Definitely going to be reading some more of Ahlborn's work in the near future. This is Well Red Beard. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're enjoying all your books as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.